Okay, in this lesson we've already attached all the toes, so we're going to create a little bit more detail on the underside of the foot, um, and specifically with the arch and the outside of the foot, which kind of contacts the ground. If you ever basically look at a footprint, you'll see what I mean. There's a part of the foot that doesn't touch the floor, and up on the outside ridge of the foot, the edge of the foot, I guess, that does. The part that, you know, when you're learning karate, they tell you to kick people in the throat with that, with the sharp outside part of your foot. Don't do that. Okay, so we're just going to add some more edges. There we go. And our foot looks like it's kind of been run over with a truck or something. So we're going to need to make that arch on top a little bit more apparent. So we're going to add another edge to separate the arch from the edge of the foot, the outside edge of the foot. And just delete those. Or not. I guess I decided I'll leave those there. Okay, so here you see we have the portion of the foot that's supposed to touch the ground and the portion that is supposed to arch above the ground. We're kind of clearly separating those. Cool. There we go. Obviously, you know, 5-sided polys on the bottom of the foot, you don't have to worry about that as much. I could go into a lot more, I guess I could be really nitpicky and just start making this crazy foot, but, you know, we're making a foot that's pretty good here. Flip spin this edge, because we don't want this, you know, it looks weird when you just extrude a thing out, but see, once you do something like that, and then all that took is 2 little flip spin edge commands. Now you got a that bone, which I guess is the bone is the lower end of the tibia. There we go. And there's a tendon that runs down runs down your leg and kind of wraps around the back end of that bone and then goes into the front of the foot. So it's kind of following that line that we created there, kind of that thing boomeranging around the outside edge of the back end of that bone. I didn't really look at reference for this, I just kind of went by memory. But if you look at reference, you might find a way to do this that's better. But that looks pretty right on. So I'm going to stay with that. Okay, so same thing, we just do a simple extrude on that thing, make it a little bit smaller so it's not as warped out. And then we're going to make the edges a little more even. Flip spin the edge. And if you don't like which way it's spun, you could just hit G, and that repeats the last command you did. Just hit G over and over again, and you'll keep spinning it until you get it where you want it. Okay, so again, we're pushing that bone out, and then we're pushing that in, because the foot in the front of the what's that called? The top of the arch, it kind of narrows. I really should have looked in some kind of medical encyclopedia before starting this lesson. Okay. Again, it's not perfect, but you always one of the things about modeling is you know, when you're doing modeling for yourself, you can afford to make it however awesome you want, and you know, when you're doing modeling for a project where, you know, we might see this foot flying by the screen in a few frames where it's only, let's say at the largest it'll be 200 pixels wide with motion blur flying across the screen. If you're taking the time to make a really detailed foot, you're kind of wasting the client's money. You're wasting the producer's money, and you'd be better. Everyone would just be better served by making something that looks close. So here we're making something that looks pretty close, and will even stand up to scrutiny. But feel free to make a foot that's more detailed or less detailed than this. There you go. Yeah, one of the tricks in broadcast and film is how to sweep dirt under the rug effectively. In games, you can't do that as much because people will see your model and zoom into it and look at it from every angle. But in movies, as much as you can get away with, just tuck it under. If you don't need to build something super detailed because it's not going to be right up in the screen, then don't waste your time. Don't waste the money. That's kind of a fun aspect of that kind of career too. Is it's like kind of like learning how to cheat. You're cheating people's eyes is really what you're doing with visual effects. So if you learn to cheat effectively, then you can be the fastest at what you do. Not just the best, most detailed, but also the fastest. Turning on soft select here so we can kind of get the foot a little taller, less smushed. There we go. Okay. Big toe's a little bit long. Maybe not. Just eyeballing it. So just keep adjusting it as you see little things that stand out to you. Look at it from different angles. Okay. Alright, so it looks pretty good. Still needs a little work though. There's still some things that are kind of look weird like that. Also, this pinky, the stem of the pinky is touching the ground. We don't want that. We want the pad to go up, and then the toe curls down, and then the pad of the toe touches the ground. Something a little more like that. Also, this edge is a little, we can give it a little bit more fidelity. And if you're working on games, you might not have the luxury of just adding all these edges wherever you want because there's like a poly count that goes on. But it's really the concept that matters. It's not the. That's why when I build this model, I don't have every single move memorized. Where I'm going to put every single cut. It's just more like, the basic concepts, and then you can go from there and build something that's going to work every single time, even if it's not identical every single time. And every time you make it, it'll probably be better than the last one you made. So it's always good to experiment and play around. There's always undo. Okay, not too bony. If we're doing trying to make a pretty toe, we don't want it to end up too bony. Kind of happy with where that's at. See how the toes on the underside are all raised up? That's like where you, if you ever played with a little baby, where you, if you put your finger in that little crevice, their toes will actually grab your finger. So remember to put that little crevice in there. So it's still looking a little flat. We want to move that up and create more of a substantial arch. There we go. That's looking better. Okay, our foot is wrapping up now, luckily, and next thing we got to do is just combine all of the elements that we created: the body, the head and face, the hands, the foot that we just created, and basically just combine them all and sew them all together. Thanks for watching.